The Denver Broncos just finished the NFL preseason undefeated, and we just dismantled a team that is predicted for some reason to win 2 more games than us next year and compete in their division. Even though we both were playing our second and third stringers, we dominated on both sides of the ball. We're going to break down the really tough decisions facing this Denver Broncos team based on dudes who flashed in this game and throughout all of training camp, OTAs, preseason. Look at some of the best plays from tonight and really what are those chopping block decisions to make. But irregardless, the rest of the NFL is starting to pick up that there is true talent on this Denver Broncos roster. This is not the 5-win really laughing stock that the national media has made it out to be, and people are starting to pick up on that. If you're new to the channel, I'm Ben. I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. It helps me and the algorithm out a ton. If you like the Broncos, if you like going undefeated, can you smash that like and subscribe button? I want you to hit it as hard as Justin Strnad just blasted that guy for that forced fumble, which we're going to look at in 1 second here. But if you take a look at this, the Denver Broncos won on both sides of the ball, and we sat all of our major talent, as did the Arizona Cardinals. And I would argue that we have more talented starters that didn't play than the Arizona Cardinals did. Sure, they have Marvin Harrison Jr., who could be better than Cortland Sutton one day, but we have the best corner in football who didn't play. We have an amazing offensive line who PFF had as the 7th best O-line in the league last year. And I just think that the fact that every single matchup that we have had, the fact that we have dominated shows that our team is way deeper than anyone is giving us credit for. And Mark Schlereth, who has to call national games, like I know everyone thinks of him as a homer because he's got a show on 104.3 The Fan, but he can't come out and say this kind of stuff, saying the Broncos are a lot more talented than the national media gives them credit for. They have talent. It's just not value talent. I didn't know what their record will be, but I'm hammering the over. He can't say that kind of stuff knowing that he calls a different game each Sunday for Fox, and so he goes all over the place. So he is way more of a national name than just being a homer, and he's starting to see this. We're seeing Brandon Perna, who is just the OG on Broncos YouTube, come out and be like, whoa, this team actually has a lot more depth than I thought, and I think we are all feeling that yes, we played starters when Green Bay rested some of their starters, but then when it was 2-on-2 and 3-on-3, we dominated those looks too. Same thing with the Indianapolis Colts, that when we played ones, we outplayed their ones. When we played two, we outplayed their twos. And I think all this is shaping up for the Denver Broncos having the type of season that all y'all have been calling in the comments here, that the Denver Broncos are going to take this NFL by storm. And so just kind of looking at the big, real tough decisions the Broncos have to make. They are going to have guys who get cut from this 53-man roster who end up starting other places. And I think the first place we got to look is the quarterback battle, because Zach Wilson just balled out tonight. And I think knowing that he was a starter in the NFL for a long time, the fact that he was playing against a bad defense to begin with, and then their second and third stringers, he should go out and ball like this. But let's take a look at a couple of his great plays, and I have a couple here queued up for us to take a look at. First one here is a gorgeous little dime here, hanging in the pocket, not getting happy feet and rolling out like another quarterback we have would, and hitting Nate Adkins here. The reason I've queued up these 2 Nate Adkins clips is that as the Broncos are trying to make these cuts and get from 90-man down to 53 by Tuesday of this week, which is wild, I think there's a real good chance that the Denver Broncos go with Nate Adkins as the fullback rather than Burton. And I think the fact that he has the positional versatility to play that tight end position, and then the very next play from this, he lines up as a fullback in an I-back formation. And so I think really you could make the argument that Burton might be a little better at that fullback position and have more experience in it, but the fact that he can do multiple things makes me kind of want to err and give him that nod right there. Seeing here on this little touchdown, a little great pass here, Zach Wilson hitting Adkins again wide open, but sometimes those are the most difficult ones to catch. But some gorgeous plays there. So the first positional battle, I guess, would be that fullback position, knowing that our running back room is stacked and that you could list off 5 guys you hope we keep, and there's no way that's going to happen. And so I would love it if we could have Adkins kind of play, as a tight end, if Dulcich and Kroll and Troutman, if there's injuries there, that he can go in and play tight end, but also knowing that he can line up at fullback and we aren't wasting a position there on fullback. But what do you think about that? the next major question is just truly, what do the Denver Broncos do with this quarterback room? Like, do we carry 3 quarterbacks when we know, like, obviously you can only play 1 quarterback at a time in the NFL currently as it's situated. And Zach Wilson has shown flashes before. His arm strength, he is like I think he's a higher ceiling Drew Lock to me. There were some just absolute dimes and frozen ropes that he was throwing, and times when that throw to Troy Franklin, I'm like, how did Franklin even catch that? Like, he throws a frozen rope, and I love his arm strength, but we've seen him underperform with the Jets, and we've also seen Stidham come in and kind of show some flashes and obviously be a major upgrade over what we had last year. But is carrying 3 quarterbacks a waste? And what do we do at that position? So looking here, this was probably the nicest throw of the day for Wilson here, where he hit Brandon Jones here for this, 55 yards in the air, just throws it on a rope, man, and just boom, drops it in the bucket. And insane concentration there by Johnson. That's also going to be, how are we going to carry all of these wideouts that we're talking about? Like, Vele showed some flashes throughout training camp. He got injured, and then I think he had 1 catch on 1 target today, but looked great, and then was taken out. Was he taken out because Sean Payton hopes that somehow he makes it to the practice squad? I think that's very, very unlikely. Johnson is good. I think Virgil Green showed some flashes today as well. Also a fantastic returner. So what is all that shaping up to be? Loved just seeing Troy Franklin. He had 1 catch on the 1 target, and then seeing him kind of get used here in this end around. I thought this was a really clever play design that we faked to Jerry Jeudy 100 times last year, and we actually ran it today, which was very, very cool to see, and got the first down. Love Sills making the block there down the field, and seeing the constant effort throughout the entire preseason. So Franklin looks great. I don't think there's any chance that Franklin doesn't make this roster, knowing that he had a first-round grade on him at one point and that the Broncos were stoked to get him. Are we hoping that we keep him on the team and maybe don't dress him for the first couple of weeks and hope that we can kind of work him in as he develops as a route runner? But that's going to be very interesting. So we're talking the fullback battle, quarterback battle. The next one is going to be that inside linebacker position. It was very interesting to me how late in the game, even the fact that he was starting this game, to me shows that Sean Payton doesn't have his mind made up, and that was Cody Burton. And seeing that, I had thought Cody Burton was a lock to start and be the opposite there of Josie Jewell. And the fact that he started this game, and Sean Payton said he was only playing players in this game who he hadn't seen enough yet from. And so I thought that was interesting that you had him play, Jonas Griffith play. And then all of a sudden, man, we just saw Strnad just blow some plays up, just was a tackling machine. Kind of got handed to him in coverage a few times, but this was my favorite Strnad play here. Boom, just causes a fumble there. And if the Cardinals go in and score, that's a momentum shifter right there. But to get them kind of in the goal line situation and not, it's hard to hit players right now without drawing a unnecessary roughness or a targeting penalty. And he just did this textbook, forced fumble where it was shoulder pad directly on the ball and just took away that dude's soul. So that was exciting to see. And there were several others where he was just, blowing plays up. And then all of a sudden, do you remember that the call that Sean Payton made multiple times, that even as the 7th round was ending, Sean Payton called not once, but called him twice, a guy who we brought in here as an undrafted free agent who the Vikings wanted, and I think it was 3 or 4 other teams wanted him, and he ended up picking the Denver Broncos because of Sean Payton being the only head coach who got him on the phone. And was like, hey, come play in Denver. We have a long history of undrafted free agents making the team, and then not just making the 53, but actually becoming starters. And Levelle Bailey is another inside linebacker there. So you're talking, we got a Lock and Jewell, but then we got Burton, Griffith, Strnad, and now Levelle Bailey. Knowing multiple other teams wanted him, I think it would be difficult to make him make the practice squad as well. And knowing we gave him the bag, and then he came out today and just absolutely one of my favorite plays, kind of to ice the game here for the Denver Broncos as the 4th quarter is ending. boom, just a 96-yard, 94-yard touchdown return for interception and touchdown return. So looked very good as well. So we're talking now inside linebacker. We've got a lot of tough decisions to make. So what impressed you the most watching tonight, and what are kind of your this was here. Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos came out and talked about how good our inside linebacker position is. But the fact of the matter is, you guys, we know that preseason success does not necessarily equal regular season success. But we know more often than not that momentum does carry over, that we saw with the Patriots when they went 16-0. They started that season 4-0 in the playoffs. We've seen Andy Reid take preseason success and turn it into regular season success. We've seen how hard the Ravens try it in the preseason. It is a very exciting time around Broncos country, and I think we all are starting to feel that, and we all believe. So let me know, what are your reactions to watching the entire preseason? What are you most hopeful for? What is your final win prediction for these Denver Broncos? We're going to be covering all the cut downs and all the lead up to the Seattle Seahawks and the Bo Nix era, but we've got a ton to believe in. Oh, fitting to end on a shot.